Welcome back, friends and astrology lovers. I'm Yvonne Davis, author, astrologer, and life transformation coach. And today I have a video for you called The Coming Revolution. And this is something I've talked about in past videos, but I have a new perspective on it that I want to share with you. So if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, click like on this video, share with friends and family and on social media. And please feel free to leave your comments below. And one more thing I want to share with you really quickly before I show you the chart is I've created a new channel called Financial Freedom because as many of you know, I actually have a degree in, my degree is in politics and economics from the University of Denver. I graduated with honors in economics, and then I went on for a master's degree in economics at the University of Denver. And I really was interested in solving the problem of poverty, but life had a harsh lesson, which was that for me, I saw that the problems were systemic and it didn't matter really who got elected president, although obviously it does matter. But what I meant was because it was so systemic, it couldn't change the system. And I also realized that the only thing that was ever going to change the system was changing consciousness. And so that's why I got into the study of consciousness, which ultimately led me down the path of becoming an astrologer. So I will put the link to this channel below, in which I will explore how we can deal with the problems that we are having in the economy right now and how you can actually still become financially free, even in the midst of what we're struggling with right now. In fact, this opportunity is, in some ways, if you have an income, then you are actually better off now than you would have been when the economy was healthy. And that may sound paradoxical, but if you watch the videos that I have on this channel, you will understand that if you have an income, this is the best time for you to become financially free. And so I am making playlists on economics and the monetary system to help educate you about that. And I've uploaded some new videos on the topic, so I hope you'll go and check it out and subscribe. All right, so let's go ahead and make our way over to the chart that I want to show you today. And this is for Inauguration Day, which will be on January 20th, 2021 in Washington, D.C. Now, the timing is set in this chart for 3:05 p.m. specifically because of the Mars-Uranus conjunction, which is exact at that time. And this is mostly what makes the chart so incredibly powerful, but it's also because of the square here. So what I want to make clear in this chart is that the alignments at this particular moment on January 20th, 2021, 3:05 p.m., Washington, D.C., is so extraordinary. I don't know what the odds are. Well, actually, in some sense, I do, because this almost exact alignment relates back to the very day that began the American Civil War. And if you do any research, if you search the beginning of the American Civil War, it will take you to the day of the attack on Fort Sumter. So that was what happened. The South, which became, the Confederacy, attacked Fort Sumter, and that was what initiated the entire American Civil War. Now, that might sound really scary for obvious reasons, but I have been saying, and I will continue to stand by this, that while there may be some pockets of violence, I really don't think it's going to end up the same way. And I've imagined what I think it will look like, but I have to be really careful what I say because people can get super, super triggered, and for understandable reasons. Um, and so what I'm trying to help you to see, though, is that there can actually be some really extremely positive ways that outcomes that this alignment could bring. And I think it's important to focus on what is hopeful. And so the first thing that I want to say, again, that, the fact that this happens on Inauguration Day, on a spiritual level, on a karmic level, is not an accident. Okay, this is synchronicity in play. The fact that it connects back to the beginning of the American Civil War is also not an accident, because the way that these things work, and is why astrologers can make predictions, is because there are patterns. And the patterns that we see in astrology have to do with the consciousness expansion, which, like so many things in the universe, has a spiral shape. So we come around and around and around again. That's the cyclical pattern. And that's why astrologers can make predictions, is because astrology at its most basic level is pattern recognition. And so there are these patterns in the universe that are cyclical, and they go around and around and around in a spiral. So we come around and around again to the same place and deal with the same issues over and over again. But what makes it different when it's on the spiral of consciousness expansion is that it's expanding and working its way upward as it spirals around and around again to the same lessons over and over again. So what we're coming around to again are the same issues that were in play at the time of the American Revolution. And as an astrologer, I know that because of the fact that the astrological alignments are so similar to those of the same day of the American Civil War. And I might make a second video where I actually will bring that chart up for the day that the South attacked Fort Sumter, so I can actually show you the similarities. But I want to keep this one a little bit shorter and just give it some time to soak in, okay? Because I have some new things to say about this chart that I've never said before. So, but I need to lay the groundwork to help you to understand the cyclical nature of consciousness expansion and how it's shaped like a spiral, and it brings us around, back around to the same issues over and over and over again. So at this time on Inauguration Day 2021, we're actually going to be dealing with the same issues that triggered the American Civil War. And I think that there are different ways to look at this. One way is to look at it politically, okay? So the South broke away because they had certain political views that were different from those of the North, which was at that time called the Union. And as we know from our history lessons, the Union won the Civil War, and that's why the United States continued in its same form as it had been prior to the Civil War. And then, of course, we actually did expand as a country, but we stayed united. That was the most important thing. And I believe that ultimately we will stay united, but the division in this country may increase. And the reason for that has everything to do with Uranus, because Uranus causes a breakdown before it causes a breakthrough. And so that's just the way, for some reason, humanity learns and grows in our consciousness, is that we have to have a breakdown before we have a breakthrough. So that's true of our national consciousness as well. And so that's what Uranus will bring. Now, Mars is a warrior. Mars takes action, and sometimes when you mix Mars with Uranus, you get violence. So the question really is, what will the extent of that violence be? And how long will it last? How violent will it be? How widespread will it be? And it actually doesn't have to be violent, but because of the fact that Uranus and Mars are so volatile, I think unfortunately we probably will see some pockets of violence. We will see some rioting and protesting, and there will be good reason for that, and I'll talk about that too. So the other thing you want to understand is that the moon is also in the mix. And again, this combination is what we saw during the day that Fort Sumter was attacked, which kicked off the American Civil War. We saw this conjunction of the moon, Mars, and Uranus. And we also saw it in a square to Saturn. Now this time, Saturn is sandwiched between the Sun and Jupiter. And so that's different than what existed at the time of the American Civil War. So that's an interesting difference. And the second thing that's different is that they're in different signs. So this combination was not in Taurus, but they were all three conjunct, and they were square to Saturn, which is the exact same thing we see now, but we see it in intensified square because we have 3 planets over here. You could probably throw Mercury into the mix too, but it's kind of a huge orb there. It's really more about these 3, the Sun, Saturn, and Jupiter in Aquarius, squaring Uranus, Mars, and the moon. The moon is the people, or sometimes it's our emotions or our subconscious. Sometimes it has a feminine energy, but Mars also has a masculine energy. So I don't think it's going to be specifically masculine or feminine. I think it's more about the emotions of the people, you know, that they have just had it, and there's a lot of anger being expressed. So I'm looking at this from a perspective that is more about economics. Now, of course, economics and politics are tied together, and so is our social structure, in the sense of our social beliefs, our social mores. And so this comes into the mix as well. But what I really want to focus on has to do with economics, because that's the new thing that has come alive in my mind that I was not aware of when I talked about it before and was only focused on the politics. Now we are seeing our economy just falling into shambles. And I think that, for obvious reasons, because the shutdown of the economy was necessary in order to protect public health. But I think that we also need to consider, why was our system so fragile, so brittle, that it could not handle this kind of situation? And that is a very important question to ask, because what it does is it helps us to see the weaknesses in our system. It helped us to see how fragile and vulnerable and rigid and brittle our system was. Our system is not as resilient as people like to think it is, or like to pretend that it is. And a lot of people have suffered, and that's the thing that people just don't pay attention to. You know, they don't pay attention to how many people are truly unemployed. They don't pay attention to how many people are homeless. And they don't pay attention to the fact that the rich are constantly getting richer and the poor are constantly getting poorer. And that has been true at least since the 1980s, and possibly even further back than that. And because in the 70s, we're experiencing stagnation, and Reagan brought in new economic policies that were called trickle-down economics, but we've seen for a fact that it didn't trickle down, it trickled up. And that was the whole point anyway, is to trickle it up. That's always the true motive. The rest is just a smoke screen. It's all smoke and mirrors to get us to not pay attention to what's really going on. But see, now it's reached a point where, it's just so obvious. I mean, 3 million people just recently filed for unemployment. That brings the official numbers close to 40 million people unemployed. And those are the official numbers. The real numbers are actually much, much higher than that, because there are a lot of people who either give up, or they can't get on unemployment even though they are unemployed, or maybe they have a job but it doesn't pay them enough to support themselves. Maybe it's only part-time, who knows? But a lot of people are struggling financially in this country, and now it's so obvious that we just can't deny it anymore, and it's going to get worse, unfortunately, before it gets better. So I hope all of you watching my channel will go over and check out the financial freedom. And this is completely free. I'm all this information that I'm putting over there on the other channel is completely free. All you have to do is just go over there. I hope you will subscribe and watch the videos and start thinking about how you can protect yourself, and in some ways actually even find a way to improve your situation, which may sound crazy, but it is actually possible. And when you have economic downturns, if you've got an income, you can actually improve in a situation like that, as strange as it may sound. So you need to protect yourself. And I also have ideas over there about what the new economy could look like. So yeah, we're going to have some pretty dire situations coming. The House of Cards is going to fall. It's already falling. We're already watching it happen. Hertz filed bankruptcy, and half the population of Los Angeles is unemployed right now. I don't know if that I don't know if that means that they are do not have a job to go back to. Maybe some of them believe they have a job to go back to. We'll see. But it's just going to get worse, a lot worse, before it gets better. And I believe that the whole purpose of this is because we're supposed to have a revolution. I know that may sound crazy, but it's like, this is not an accident. It's very synchronistic. It's meant to happen because the system that we are coming out of was based on infinite consumption and infinite growth on a finite planet. And that is pretty much the definition of insanity, because that's like saying 2 + 2 = 5. The math just does not add up. And we see how it impacts so many people in such incredibly detrimental ways. Something has to change. And this revolution is going to really, really bring that to a head. So, so do your best to protect yourself. Do your best to educate yourself. Please go over to my other channel and subscribe and watch those videos and educate yourself, and do everything you can to protect yourself and your family and your loved ones. So I wish you the best, and I'm doing everything I can to share my knowledge and wisdom with you for free. But if you want to support me in my work, then you can always do so very easily by subscribing or clicking like on my videos. And if you want to, you can go over to Patreon and become a patron. I have free gifts for all new patrons at the $10 tier. A free birth chart and a free ebook, which is a real book, not just one of those smear things that people give away for free. No, this is a real book. And also more FaceTime with me, not one-on-one, but in a group session on the group Zoom sessions that I've been having over there. The next one will be Friday, May 29th at noon Mountain Time. So again, if you want to support me and the work that I do, come on over to Patreon, and you can join at the $10 tier and get all the free gifts and be a part of those group Zoom sessions. So I hope to see you over there. And of course, if you want a private reading, you can always do so. Just click on the links below in the description box. So I will be bringing you more astrology videos because there's so much interesting coming up now. The alignments are just amazing and are going to bring such incredible change to our country and to us as individuals and the world. and the President of the United States. So I'll have those for you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.